Okay, so today we're going deep on Sportradar Group, AG,
SRAD.
SRAD,
Right, ticker symbol SR.
on the stock market. Yeah. You sent over some like really interesting research on this company,
Hmm.
which honestly, like I didn't know a ton about them going into it.
Oh, yeah.
They seem to be smack dab in the middle of like the whole world of sports data and the future of sports data.
Yeah. So Sportradar is one of the biggest players in the global sports data ecosystem.
Okay.
And what they do is essentially collect and analyze a humongous amount of sports data
Wow.
from all sorts of different sports leagues and competitions,
Yeah.
everything from, your traditional football, baseball, basketball to esports.
Really, esports too.
Esports is huge, yeah.
Wow.
And they take all of that data and provide it to a whole range of customers.
Like who are we talking? So
She's, sports betting operators,
yeah,
obviously.
yeah, that makes
Different
sense.
media companies, broadcasters, even teams and leagues themselves use their data.
Wow, so they're like the central nervous system of the sports world.
In a way, yeah.
Okay, I like that.
They provide the information that keeps everything running,
Yeah.
keeps everyone informed.
So before we get into all of that, like how they actually operate and what they do,
Mm-hmm.
you sent over some numbers about them,
Yeah,
and they're pretty impressive.
yeah. They have a strong financial position.
A current ratio of 1.54,
That's right.
debt to equity ratio of 0.06.
Very healthy numbers.
What does all that even mean, though?
Well, the current ratio is basically a measure of a company's short-term liquidity.
Okay.
It tells you if they have enough resources to cover their short-term debts.
Oh, okay.
And a ratio of 1.54, like Sportradar has, is pretty good.
Better than average, or
Yeah, it's comfortably above the industry average.
so that means they're probably in a good spot to
Exactly.
meet their obligations. Yeah.
Yeah. They're not likely to have any trouble paying their bills.
Okay, good.
Now, that debt-to-equity ratio of 0.06, that's even more impressive. It means they're not relying heavily on borrowed money.
Okay, which is good because
Which is great, especially for a company in a fast-growing industry like sports data.
yeah, that makes sense.
It gives them a lot of flexibility to invest in their future.
So they can grow without having to worry about.
Exactly. They can make strategic acquisitions, pour money into R&D, things like that.
So they're kind of like a sports team with a really strong defense.
Ooh, I like that analogy.
Right. Yeah, they're built to withstand challenges.
Exactly. They have a solid foundation.
Yeah.
And on top of that, their revenue growth has been outstanding.
You're telling me like over 20% in 2023?
Yep, 20.19% to be exact.
And it looks like it's going to be even higher in 2024.
That's right. Projections are looking at 24.88% growth.
Wow. So what's driving all this growth?
Well, they've been very strategic about expanding into new markets,
Okay.
like the U.S., which is obviously a huge market for sports betting,
Yeah.
but also Brazil, parts of Africa, places where the sports data industry is really starting to take off.
They're ahead of the curve.
Yeah, they're not just following the trends, they're anticipating them.
I see. And how are they actually doing that?
One way is by securing exclusive data rights.
Oh, so they're like locking down the supply.
Exactly. They're getting in early and making sure they have the data that everyone wants.
That's smart.
Yeah, it's a really savvy move.
So you mentioned sports betting.
Mm-hmm.
And in the research, there was this thing about micro markets.
Yeah, micro markets are really interesting.
I don't even know what that means, though.
So traditionally, sports betting has been about betting on the outcome of a game.
Right. Who's going to win?
Exactly. But micro markets are much more granular.
Okay.
You can bet on things like who's going to score the next point,
Oh, wow.
how many yards a quarterback will throw for in a specific quarter.
You can bet on that?
Yeah. Or even whether the next play will be a run or a pass.
Wow. So it's like betting on every single moment of the game.
Exactly. It makes it much more interactive and engaging.
Yeah. I can see how that would be really appealing to certain people.
Yeah, especially younger fans who are used to that kind of instant gratification.
Right, right.
And Sportradar is in a great position to capitalize on this trend
How so?
because they have the data infrastructure to support it.
They can handle all those tiny little bets.
Exactly. They can provide the real-time data feeds and analytics that betting operators need.
So they're not just providing the raw data, they're actually creating the tools.
That's right. They're enabling this whole new way to engage with sports.
Which is really cool.
Yeah, it's pretty innovative.
So what's the financial world saying about all this? Like, what are the analysts saying about Sportradar?
Well, they seem pretty bullish.
Bullish.
Yeah, optimistic.
Okay.
The research you send over shows a strong buy rating from analysts.
Really?
Yeah, with a projected upside potential of over 21%.
So they think the stock is going to go up?
That's what they're predicting, yeah.
Wow.
They're essentially betting on Sportradar's ability to keep growing and innovating.
So they're the underdogs.
Well, they are currently trading below their IPO price.
Oh, really? Yeah, but the analysts seem to think they're poised for a comeback. I love a good comeback story.
Don't we all?
But speaking of numbers, what about those PE ratios?
Yeah, the trailing PE is pretty high, over 145.
That does seem high.
But the forward PE, which is based on future earnings projections,
Yeah.
is much more reasonable, around 53.
So it's like they're expecting big things in the future.
Exactly. The market is pricing in significant growth.
Okay, that makes sense.
And it's not just the analysts who are bullish.
What do you mean?
Institutional investors hold over 45% of the shares.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, it means big players like mutual funds and hedge funds are betting on Sportradar.
And what about the people who actually work there?
The insiders,
Yeah.
they own over 31% of the shares.
Wow, they must really believe in the company.
Yeah, that's usually a good sign.
Okay, so we talk a lot about companies like DraftKings when it comes to sport data and betting.
Mm-hmm.
But Sportradar is different, right?
Right. They're not a betting platform themselves.
Yeah, they're the ones supplying the data.
Exactly. They're like the ingredients supplier.
And DraftKings is the chef.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
But are there other companies that are like Sportradar?
Yeah. There are a few other big players in the sports data industry.
Like,
Genius Sports, Stats Perform.
Yeah.
They all offer similar services.
so how does Sportradar set itself apart?
Well, they really focus on the breadth and depth of their data offerings.
They have more data than the others.
They cover a wider range of sports and leagues.
Okay,
And they also go deeper with their data, providing more granular insights.
I see.
And they're also very global. They have a presence in markets all over the world.
So they're kind of like the one-stop shop for sports data.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And they're doing all of this while still being profitable.
Yep, their margins are very healthy.
Over 46% gross margin.
That's right.
EBITDA margin of 34.37%.
Which is impressive for a company in their growth stage.
Yeah, so they're not just growing, they're growing sustainably.
Exactly. They're not just burning through cash.
So we've got a company with strong financials, impressive growth, a clear vision for the future. They seem like they're onto something really special.
Yeah, they're definitely a company to watch.
And here's something I've been thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
As real-time data gets even more accessible
Mm-hmm.
and things like micro markets become more popular,
Yeah.
how is that going to change how we experience sports?
Great question.
Like, will we all become armchair analysts
It's possible.
with like real-time stats at our fingertips?
It could change the whole fan experience.
Yeah, it's really interesting to think about.
Definitely something to keep an eye on.
Well, thanks for joining me for this deep dive into the world of Sportradar.
My pleasure.
It's been really eye-opening.
I'm glad you found it informative.
I did, and hopefully our listeners did too.
Yeah, there's a lot to be excited about in this space.
For sure. And to everyone listening out there, definitely do your own research on this one.
Yeah, there's always more to learn.
Sportradar, it's a company to watch.
Absolutely.
All right, that's it for today. We'll see you next time.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye!